It's time for another edition of Mets Musings.
Hi, this is Ron Darling. This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to Mets Musings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Mets Musings. We are a couple of days late than our normally schedule, but better late than never, I say. And hope you all had a great week. Mets are back home after a 9-game road trip. They split in Baltimore, San Diego, and took 2 out of 3 from Arizona. That's the good news. 5-4 on a road trip, not bad, considering they went out to the coast. So you'll take that every time, a winning road trip. Hope to do better in Baltimore and sweep that, but hey, what are you going to do? But good that they split against San Diego, one of the better teams in the league. And let's be honest, the playoffs, the way to the title, to the World Series, is going to have to go through California at one point. I believe San Francisco has got the lead now. LA and San Diego, as we speak, have the wild card. So I don't see much of a change going to happen in the course of the season, during the course of the season. So getting to the World Series is going to have to go through California. So, but as I said, they had a good road trip. deGrom was brilliant again in San Diego. And they come home, and Mr. deGrom is pitching again as he dominated San Diego once again, giving up 1 hit in 6 innings. He did a little bit of everything, too, to help himself out. He knocked in 2 runs, which turned out to be the difference in the game. And he knocked in the 2 runs along with a 10-strikeout performance and a 1-hit. As I said, in 6 innings he gave up. And the Mets hung on to win that game 3-2 over the Padres. So deGrom gets his 6th win of the season, but he also left with an injury. I'll have more on that in just a second. The Mets currently hold a 4-game lead over Philly, a 4.5-game lead over Atlanta, a 7.5-game over Miami, and 8-game lead over the Nationals with a 31-24 record. And the big news, I guess, was big crowd. 26,637 fans were in the stands at Citi Field last night. A huge jump in capacity for the Mets as state and local guidelines continue to allow more and more fans into the venue as more COVID restrictions are lifted. What did the players think about it? Well, they all seemed to a man to think it was great. They were all excited. They were amped up. Manager Rojas said it was an electric feel in the stadium. And they all loved playing in front of such a large home crowd for the first time since 2019. So, and it was loud. It was loud there last night. If you watched the game or listened to it on radio, you could hear it. It was a loud, boisterous crowd. They were into every pitch. Of course, with deGrom, it makes it easy to do that. But they were into it, and, the players love it. They haven't had it in such a long time, since 2019, that this was really a great thing. So, and I know it's across all sports now. If anybody's into golf and watches golf, yeah, the players there said how much it meant to have the crowds at the PGA and last week's tournament and this week's tournament. They really, I think it was more Rory McIlroy who said that he thought it would be nice not having the crowd, but when they didn't have the crowd, it was kind of there wasn't that extra oomph, if you will, to push you on a little bit further. Now with the crowds, you have the people cheering, you have the people rooting you on, and it just gets the adrenaline flowing and pushes you further. So that's what the Mets experienced last night with the big crowd for the deGrom game. We'll see how it is this afternoon. I would imagine they would do pretty good because people just want to go to a ball game. They want to get out, you know. They want to. The weather's getting nicer though. Today it's a little iffy, so we'll see if they even get the game in. There is a forecast of some rain, but they should be able to get it in, I would think. But um, still, people want to get out. They want to do things again. They've been locked up for so long, and they want it to end already. So we'll see how that's going to play out. As far as the crowd is. But last night was a really awesome crowd and a very lively crowd, and that's what you want to see, you know. So, we mentioned about deGrom leaving, and we'll do an injury report in the next segment, so I'll have that in there. He'll be back. He doesn't think it's anything too seriously. But the GM, Zach Scott, said the team is open to training for starters ahead of the MLB trade deadline. He gave an update on the status of Carrasco and Syndergaard, and based on what he said, and we'll get into that a little bit later, it seems like the Mets are looking to add more arms. Having those two guys, one may be ready before the deadline, and one won't be ready before the deadline. So obviously, that's going to influence what we're looking at right now, Scott said. Starting pitching depth is always something I feel like every deadline of my career we've been looking for that. So, yeah, that definitely contributes to how we're thinking about it. And the Mets have three solid starters right now. deGrom, Marcus Stroman, and Taijuan Walker, who was, by the way, was superb on his return in Baltimore. There, his last outing, I should say, he was awesome. He was pretty good in his return too. The time before that, but he's just been unbelievable this year. So those are the three they can count on. David Peterson has struggled mightily, and it's not. He hasn't lost velocity. He hasn't lost his stuff. His stuff is awesome. He's just running into a control problem right now. And that can be a number of things. It could be in his head, it could be mechanical. It doesn't look like it's an injury because, again, his velocity is not down and his stuff is not, his breaking ball is just as sharp. It's that it's not hitting the strike zone or where he wants it to go. So he's having some sort of issues with his control right now. Joey, and the fifth starter, has been up in arm. I mean, Joey Lucchese's been pitching pretty good lately. So, you keep putting him out there and see maybe as he's in a regular rotation, maybe he'll get better. But we don't know that for now. So they'll be looking for starting pitching before the trading deadline. The thing is, to get something decent, you have to give up something. What do you give up? Who's going to go? Is Dom Smith a candidate to go? I mean, they have Alonso at first. He's not that great in left field. He can hit, but he may be their best trade asset now. With Pilar playing excellent and McKinney the emergence of McKinney, and you'll be getting Conforto back and hopefully Nimmo within the next month or so. Maybe he's the guy that you look to trade and package with somebody else. If J.D. Davis was healthy, he may be a guy you look to trade. He's not healthy, though, and we don't know when he's coming back. So, you don't want to raid your minor leagues again. I mean, certain guys would be off limits. Batty, Alvarez, no, off limits completely. The only way you get somebody like that is if you're going to trade for, I don't even know who's worthy out there to trade for, to use those guys. Scherzer's old. You wouldn't want to trade for him, I don't think, and give up those top prospects. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. They'll have to get creative. They did claim right-handed pitcher Nick Tropiano off waivers from the San Francisco Giants. The Mets optioned him then to Syracuse in order to make room for him on the 40-man roster. Right-handed pitcher Tommy Hunter was transferred to the 60-day IL. Tropiano, 30, had a 1.50 ERA and a 1.00 whip with 2 strikeouts in 6 innings over 4 appearances early this season for the Giants in relief. For his career, Tropiano has a 4.22 ERA on 1.36 whip in 7 Major League seasons while playing for the Houston Astros, LA Angels, Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Giants. And they're going to keep him stretched out as a starter. So they have a bunch of doubleheaders coming up. They're going to need more pitching. Maybe Corey Oswald can come through. Maybe Zapucki will be called up, and maybe Tropiano now if he pitches well in AAA. So they got backed up a lot. A bunch of those games, I think they have 1 day off in the next 30 days, I think. And the good part about that is that 22 of those games are at home, and they've been playing excellent at home. So that could give them a big advantage, and I think 16, if I'm not mistaken, are against division rivals. And let's face it, this division is not that good this year. They were all struggling. The Mets are the only team above 500 in the division. It's the only one. But they're also feisty, decent teams. Philadelphia is a game below 500. They're hanging in there. Atlanta and Philadelphia going head-to-head, swapping second and third and all that. Miami's a spunky little team. Washington, I think, is a team in transition. I don't. Washington's having a lot of problems this year. They're starting pitching. Strasburg's out. Now, Scherzer left last night's game with a groin or a hamstring pull. Not bad, but you don't know. I think they're in a team in transition. I don't see them putting together anything, but you never know. We thought that a couple years ago, and they did it. So you never can tell. But as of right now, Miami can give you a little bit of a pain in the butt. And Atlanta and Philly are, Atlanta's still the same team. They're just having some issues, too, with the pitching and whatnot. And Philly's kind of a question mark. You don't know, but they're 4 games behind, as I said. 4.5 games behind. So they're still in this thing. So it's just amazing what the Mets have been able to do with the bench mob. The emergence of Billy McKinney and his power. The play of Jonathan Villar, even Jose Peroza with some key hits. Not a lot, but he's gotten some big hits. And that's what you want. You want clutch sometimes. Kevin Pillar has been sensational. He's been even better since he came back from getting beamed. These guys have all contributed with all the injuries. Now we're going to start to see troops coming back, and it should make it very, very interesting. All right, let's take a break, and we will come back with our more stories, more Mets news. All right, I'll be back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get a PhD in life through baseball? Welcome to Baseball PhD, a tour company for your brain. 30 major league teams, 100 places to see. Let's touch them all as we make the road trip of a lifetime.
Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/MetsMusings, on Twitter at MetsMusingsGM, the Instagram is MetsMusings, and on YouTube at MetsMusings Mack. Wish to be a part of the show? Give us a call at 516-619-6341. Okay, and we're back. And Pete Alonso got into a little bit of controversy. As you know, Major League Baseball has been said they're going to crack down on the illegal substances on baseballs, and that they've changed the balls from time to time. Pete Alonso weighed in. His theory was essentially that they change the ball depending upon who's free agency. If there's a bunch of sluggers, they put in a ball that favors the pitchers. If it's pitchers, they put in a ball that favors the sluggers. It's his opinion. He doesn't think it's a conspiracy. It's a fact, he says. Guys have talked about it, but in 2019 it was a huge class of free agent pitchers, and that's, quote, unquote, the juice balls. 2020 was a strange year with the COVID, but now that we're back playing a regular season with a ton of shortstops or position players that are owed and going to be paid a lot of money, it's not a coincidence, and I think that definitely is something they do, meaning the Major League Baseball. So to keep the money down on the free agents, according to Pete Alonso, they're changing the baseballs. Who knows? They claim not Major League Baseball. Who knows? Who are we to say? We don't know. Could be the change of rules. I think it's because of the layoff of 2020 that guys are getting their timing back. It just wasn't the same last year. It was a shortened season. They had spring training, and then they got locked down for a couple of months, and then they had a shortened spring training, and then they were back again. I just think the whole thing is part of the cause, and I think now getting back into it is the full-time aspect of it. Could be why timing is off. Maybe the bat speed isn't there yet as completely. Could be any number of things. But Pete Alonso's got a different idea. So he says the guys have been talking about it. But we will see. Okay, it is time for the injury report. And bear with me because it's a long one. Jacob deGrom left yesterday's game with flexor tendonitis. And but if you watch the interview with him after the game, He stressed that though the concern was near his elbow, it wasn't something that he was overly concerned about. He plans to make his next regularly scheduled start. Now he says he tests the ligament. The ligament was tested. He says he does self-testing. Having had Tommy John surgery, he says the pain was nowhere near what that felt like. So he doesn't think it's anything serious about it. So we'll have to take him at his word. He's the man that would know the best, wouldn't he? So we'll have to just see and continue to watch that. Brandon Nimmo has a new understanding of the hand injury that kept him out of action since the first couple of days of May. He received a new diagnosis of a small ligament tear near the base of his left index finger. He was thought to be dealing with a nerve issue. Nimmo previously had started a rehab assignment but stopped it short after continued discomfort. While the diagnosis clarity is helpful, new information doesn't change the plan for Nimmo. He will continue to rest until the finger is healed. A rehab assignment, however, could start as soon as next week. So at least we know now it's not a nerve issue, which can really be a pain. In a funny way, you're better off with a ligament tear, and you know what to deal with it better than than a nerve issue. So we'll see what happens there. Anthony DeComo on Twitter provides more position player updates. The Mets hope to have Jeff McNeil back next weekend and Michael Conforto the weekend after. Mets GM Zach Scott said yesterday that McNeil will start his rehab assignment this weekend in Brooklyn and then Syracuse, which could possibly lead to an activation next week. Provided everything goes well. So I had heard it's going to be Sunday, could be today or tomorrow. McNeil will play for Brooklyn. And so if you've got MILB, check that game out. Or if you live in, go to the Cyclones game. It'll be a chance to see McNeil in person as he prepares to come back. And then they're talking about Conforto possibly the week after that. So let's see. Carlos Carrasco, meanwhile, received a PRP injection, which is why he has not been throwing of late, and that's per Anthony DeComo. Carrasco's torn right hamstring has not been healing on schedule. The Mets expected to get more from Carrasco, but it's the way it goes, and it doesn't look like he's likely to return to the rotation till after the All-Star break. So the only thing is, if they can stay where they are now and get reloaded up in the second half with fresh arms and fresh legs, they're going to be really tough then. Let's see some other updates. J.D. Davis. Zach Scott said yesterday that Davis got another injection and the progression's going to take a while. Rojas said Davis is still wearing a splint and there is no timetable for his return. Albert Amora Jr. began a rehab assignment with AAA Syracuse on June 8th, played 5 innings at center while going 0 for 2 at the plate. He should be back within a week or so. Jonashwi Vargas and MRI confirmed that Vargas suffered a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder while crashing into the center field fence on May 24th. No timetable with him. Same with Jordan Yamamoto. He's been switched to the 60-day, as has Tommy Hunter. So no idea when these gentlemen should be back, but don't expect them back for quite some time. By the way, Luis Guillorme is back, so at least we got him back. and Travis Blankenhorn was sent to the minors to make room for him on the roster. The good news out of all of this is that the guys that are all coming back, I believe, are all on the 40-man roster. So there's no 40-man roster maneuvers. It's just who will be sent down, who will not be sent down. I would imagine when McNeil comes back, probably Drury or maybe Mason Williams will be sent down, definitely. Same thing with when my mind's drawing a blank now. Oh, Almora comes back. Mason Williams probably will go. The interesting thing is going to be with McKinney. They're going to have to make room on the roster for somebody. So, I don't know who will go at that point. Does Peraza go maybe at a point with Galorme and McNeil back and Villar playing well? Villar, deserves third base now. So Galorme will be splitting time with Peraza until McNeil comes back. And then what happens? It'll be a numbers game, but it's a good game, good numbers to have with the Stars coming back. And look, if they don't perform, do you bring back the replacement guy? You never know. You just don't know. So that's the injury update for this week. Let's take another break and come back after this. 516-619-6341. That is our voicemail comment hotline. If you have a question, want to leave a comment, make a statement, anything at all, that's the number to call. 516-619-6341. Or go to our website, MetsMusings.com, and click on the widget in the middle of the screen. That's a speak pipe. And you click the record button, and you can record right through your computer's microphone. Or you can send us an email at metsmusings@gmail.com. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, it's Facebook is facebook.com/MetsMusings. Twitter is @MetsMusingsGM. Instagram is MetsMusings. And YouTube is MetsMusings Mack. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you watch or listen to the podcast. And now it's time to go down on the farm. Okay, and on the farm, JT Ginn made his second professional start and threw 4 innings, allowing 1 run, a homer, and 4 hits, walking 1, striking out 2. He threw 34 of his 49 pitches for strikes, mostly fastballs, with a handful of sliders, changeups, and cutters mixed in. JT had Tommy John surgery and lost a year last year with the shutdown of the minors and with the Tommy John surgery, so he is a little bit behind schedule, but made his second start and looked pretty good. Thomas Zapucki had one of his worst outings of the season his last time out. He gave up 2 home runs, saw his ERA go from 2.05 all the way up to 3.51 after he gave up 5 earned runs in 3.2 innings. So, I guess that kind of changed the Mets' mind about possibly bringing him up to replace David Peterson at this point in time. Let's see how Zapucki does in his next outing. Francisco Alvarez off slowly after he got promoted to the Brooklyn Cyclones, has righted the ship and has his average up for the season to 326 with 4 homers, and that's with St. Lucie and and Brooklyn combined. Brett Batty continues to hit. He's currently hitting .340 with 5 home runs and 28 RBI. Mark Vientos got off to a slow start, but is beginning to warm up and show some power with his bat. So that's just a quick look at some of the top prospects in the Mets farm system. And let's look at the records of the team. Syracuse, the AAA team, is at 11-23. They're 11 games back in the division, and they are in last place. Binghamton is 11-22, and they are 10 games back, and they are in third place in AA Northeast Division. Brooklyn is 10-21, and they are 9.5 games back and in last place in the High A East North Division. And St. Lucie is still in first place with a 20-14 record, and they've got a 2-game lead in the Low A Southeast East Division. I hope they change some of the names with these teams, because it's a little not the teams, the leagues or the divisions, because it's kind of, Low A Southeast East, and it's kind of confusing. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's the wrap up on the minor leagues. They're struggling this year, but some good individual performances to watch and to look out for. Okay, and that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you all for listening and watching. If you watch this on YouTube, yes, we have a YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, Google Play, Castbox, wherever you watch or listen to the podcast. Hit the subscribe button. That way you'll always stay and be notified when there's a new episode of Mets Musings coming out. I try to get them out on Thursdays. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So, you want to be informed of when they're coming out. So hit that subscribe button. That helps me grow the show and the community and expand to new listeners. And we're always looking for new listeners, of course. And if you'd like to help out the show at all, you can go to my audio host. It's anchor.fm/MetsMusings, and you can leave a donation right through them, or go to Patreon. Yes, I have a Patreon page, patreon.com/MetsMusings. And don't forget the Facebook group is Mets Musings, and it's Mets Musings Mack on YouTube. So go check that out as well. Okay, Mets have got a couple of more with San Diego this weekend, and then the Cubbies come into town for 4, I think, and that'll take us up to the next edition of Mets Musings. So until next time, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I will see you on the next edition of Mets